What's going on, everybody? Blake Wallace here, Minnesota Real Estate, Wallace Realty Group, real estate coach and trainer. It is the week of July 4th. And before I jump into what my topic is for this week, first off, I want to say that for anyone who's watching that was near or at the 4th of July parade in Highland Park, I grew up in Evanston, Illinois, so that hit close to home. I had family that may have chosen to go out there and enjoy the Fourth, but unfortunately, it was ruined by some crazy person who decided to shoot up the entire situation. With that being said, my condolences, my thoughts and prayers goes out to anyone who was affected or impacted by the events that happened out there, and I wish everybody well. We also had a couple of crazy events here in Minnesota, and I don't get into the news, politics, et cetera, too often. But when things like that happen, obviously, it's hard to miss. So my thoughts and prayers, my condolences, all the above goes out to anybody that was impacted. Um, but anyway, I'm a little bit behind. Normally, I like to post these on Monday, but obviously it was the holiday, so I'm posting this on a Friday. And the last video that I posted, if you didn't check it out, make sure that you go check that one out. It is where the market is going. So clearly, we're in a shifting market, right? Inflation is going crazy. Interest rates are increasing pretty rapidly, and we're seeing less buyers in the market, which means that your listings, if you're taking listings right now, your listings are probably sitting on the market a little bit longer, and sellers are kind of freaking out because now, for the last 2 years, people have been conditioned to expect that they're supposed to get an offer within the first like 10 minutes on the market. That's an exaggeration, but in some cases, that's actually what happened. But what do you do when the market shifts, right? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think that I'm not one that's going to instill fear in anyone who is out there working and looking to build their business, build their listing inventory, and continue working with buyers and sellers in a market like this. What we saw over the last 2 years was it was very easy to be a real estate agent, very easy, unless you were working with buyers. But if you had the right buyer who was willing to throw cash at any house that was out there on the market, you had it easy. Um, Listings were closing faster than ever. Any house that you put on the market, no matter the condition, no matter the location, it was selling. There wasn't much skill, and that's actually for lack of a better word. Wasn't much skill at play over the last 2 years in the market for real estate agents. We also saw an influx of new agents coming on and flooding the industry because it was pretty easy, and I'm sure there was a lot of money to be made just by riding the wave. However, things are going to get a little bit harder now. You're going to actually have to work for the business that you're getting. Inventory is still low, and there is still high buyer demand. However, with those interest rates going up, a lot of those buyers that were in the market before probably can't afford as much as they did before. And if you're taking listings, you need to make sure that now more than ever that the property that you put on the market is priced right. So you're going to have to understand the market, understand how to analyze the price of a property and what the property is worth. All that being said, what do you do to continue to keep your pipeline full of leads? Right now, in the market that we're in, what we're going to start to see is that all those new agents that joined, that got their real estate license, went through the courses, jumped on, joined a real estate agency or some team out over at EXP, Compass, wherever you might have joined, and just jumped in and started taking leads and doing things like that. You're going to see that those real estate agents are going to start dropping off. And the reason why is because they're not used to doing active prospecting. Now, the ones that did jump in and do active prospecting, we were probably hearing, those of us that do active prospecting on a daily basis, probably hearing over and over again that we're being called by 100 agents a day. Listen, certain lead sources became the new shiny thing in this market, in the market over the last couple of years. And I'm going to explain later on, I'm going to explain just in a couple of minutes which lead sources I think are the best to be targeting right now and the best to grow your business. But there's one lead source in particular that I specifically focused on that definitely became the shiny object over the last couple of years. And what I'm going to tell you is stay the course with that lead source. Reason being is because everybody that was hitting up those lead sources before, majority of those people are going to start their licenses are just going to start falling off. They're going to leave the industry. They're not going to be as saturated. And if you just stay right there, keep following up and keep staying persistent, you will be the agent to pick up those leads. And the lead sources that I'm talking about are obviously absentee owners. So first off, let's talk about what active prospecting is. I'm talking about cold calling and door knocking. Yes, of course, there's an online presence that's important nowadays in business. But if you're doing active prospecting, you don't need it to rely on getting your business, right? You don't need to rely on social media. You don't need to rely on some expensive website and paying for ads and paying for leads and things like that if you're doing your active prospecting on a daily basis, because you'll have a steady flow of seller leads coming to you. Seller leads are going to be more and more important to have right now, because we also have something that's going to absolutely rock our industry, which is the commission class action lawsuit that is out right now. It just got approved as a class action lawsuit. Not sure exactly where it's going to go, but the biggest impact that it's going to have is how buyers agents are compensated. Is it going to continue to come from the sellers, or are your clients now going to have to pay that fee? The bottom line of the case is that sellers are in full belief that the prices they've had to pay, the fees they've had to pay in order to get their home sold have been inflated, because for years now, the seller has paid both the listing agent commission and the buyer's agent commission, which has led us up to the 5, 6, 7% brokerage fees that we see today. I know a lot of people will say that fee ultimately comes from the buyer, and that's very true. It does. There's a perception there, however, because when the seller sees their proceeds, they see that oftentimes the largest fee that they're paying is the fee to their agent. And that has put a bad taste in their mouths. So as you go on these listing appointments and things like that, as this case begins to gain traction, it becomes more publicly known, we are going to have to start fighting for the commission. And what does that mean? We're going to start seeing downward pressure. That's all I'm saying. We're going to start seeing downward pressure. Free markets, competitive markets, it's all the same. Real estate is the only one that is not caught up yet. And now this is the real estate market that's about to be caught up, and it's going to become a much more competitive market when it comes to listing homes and what your fees are. So set your price, stick to it, provide the value, and get out there. Now, I wrote down a couple of things. Active prospecting, you should be cold calling. You should be door knocking during this time. You should continue to do that. You should focus all of your efforts on getting seller leads, listings. You want to get seller leads, because we never know where the buyer agency is going to go. And it's not saying that you shouldn't be working with buyers, but just know that may or may not be a sustainable business model for you to stay in business. So focus on seller leads. And I wrote down 3 different types of leads that you should be focusing on right now that I think will really skyrocket your career and keep your pipeline full of listing leads. Number 1, expired listings. Here's why I think expired listings are key. I've never been one to necessarily focus on hounding expired listings. However, we're starting to see expired listings pick up, and I never felt like it was enough for me to make the context that I needed. But if you stay persistent and you call these expired listings over and over and over until they pick up, and even go visit them and knock on the door, be that agent that's there. The reason why expired listings are so key is because they've been on the market already. They're used to paying the commission. They've already agreed to pay an agent a commission to sell their home. They once had a need to sell their home, and they probably still do. But because things are changing right now, their agent may or may not have been able to communicate what's going on in the market and make the proper adjustments to get that property sold. Now it's your chance to go in and help that buyer, that seller, realize that there are some changes that need to be made. It may be a price adjustment. It may be just a different look at the marketing plan that you provide, but you can be that person that can go in and help those people. So expired listings. Expired listings are what are number one. I say start focusing on those every single day for the next 90 days. Master your approach to expired listings. And I'll be putting together a new script for expired listings as well. And I'll provide that next week in my video where I'll talk a little bit more about expired listings. All right, here's the next piece. Excuse the background noise. I'm shooting from my home and it's trash pickup day. Number two, absentee owners. We talked about this just a few minutes ago. Absentee owners, you absolutely want to still be hitting. Now, over the last couple of years, when I first started prospecting absentee owners, I made that my niche, and I still do. I still call absentee owners. But right now, and over the past couple of years, what we started hearing was that I'm getting calls from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of agents. Remember what I said. Absentee owners became the shiny object over the last couple of years. Outside of social media, outside of all the text messaging programs and things that are marketed to agents to not prospect, absentee owners were the shiny object. And I believe that they are still going to be a shiny object. They're still a great source of leads for you because these owners do not live in their property right now. It's either an investment or something else is going on. It's an inherited property. I've run into divorce situations as well on the absentee owners. Either way it goes, there's not an emotional connection with the property more often than not. So what you can always do is you can call these people up. You can develop a relationship with them just like a circle prospecting script. You can ask them when they're planning on selling, and you can become their agent, their resource for that time when it sells. Over the last couple of years, I've gotten well over last year alone, I got, I would say 50 to 55% of my listings were from absentees. And I sold 30 homes last year. So that just kind of tells you the opportunity that's there. And I even got 2 more listings coming up this year were from the calls that I made last year, because these are people that had leases in place and had situations going. So you get both right now business, you get near-term business, and you get long-term business from absentee owners. You just have to hit them right. So absentee owners, number 2, that would be the second lead source that I would focus on, and I would start calling them. It's getting kind of tough if you're working with dialers. I know the scam likelies and the FCC is cracking down on like robo dialers and things like that. So there's a lot of things out there. So just make sure that your settings in your dialer are right so that you're not making more than like 100 calls an hour or something like that to these folks, so that you can increase your contact rate. That was something that I was running into because, of course, as you've seen some of my past videos, I do the triple line dialer, the double line dialer, and I'm dialing massive amounts of numbers an hour. But since that crackdown, I've been getting told on the phone that my number is coming up scam likely, and that actually decreased my answer rate. So now what is it saying? We just got to slow down, and that's okay. You're going to make the contacts. Maybe you sit a little while longer. Maybe you spread out the times that you call. Either way it goes, there's ways to work around that situation. Last and certainly not least, circle prospecting, but not over the phone. You should be circle prospecting at the doors. And I'm talking about just cold doors. Okay. Now, if you find that your brokerage has a home that just listed, home that just sold, you should be hitting at least 50 doors around that listing in order to solicit new business. And you can just use a simple script. Knock, knock, knock. Hi, my name is Blake Wallace with Wallace Realty Group. I'm wondering if you guys had any plans to sell in the next 12 months. Always be specific with the time frame that you're asking for, because it actually makes people think. It can either be a yes or no answer. They say no, you can easily follow up by saying, if you were to sell, when do you think that might be? And if they're willing to answer that question, you have a potential lead there, because they can tell you it's going to be 2, 3, 5 years down the line. You try to get their contact information and you want to keep in contact. Somebody says yes, that's what I would consider to be a hot lead. You get their contact information. You ask them if they had a valuation done. You be that resource and you set that appointment in order to get that done. I will talk more about that circle prospecting script, but you can also go take a look back at some of my other videos and you can see what my circle prospecting script is. But I'm still door knocking every single day, or at least every other day. I try to get out there 3 days a week now, because I will kid you not, Door knocking can be exhausting, but it's highly effective, and it's a much better way to get your contacts in than just strictly over the phone, because you can make that face-to-face contact with them and you build an instant rapport just by being there. All right. Those are the three. I'm going to recap: expired listings, absentee owners, circle prospecting. This should be active prospecting that you're focusing on at least 3 hours per day. You should be doing one of these things: calling expired listings, calling absentee owners, or circle prospecting by doing cold doors. Go check out the MLS, check out what your broker just sold, whatever. It doesn't have to be your listing. You can just go out there and ask that simple question, because it's always in the back of somebody's mind whether or not they want to sell or what their home is worth whenever a home sells near them. All right. So these are the three areas that you can start prospecting right now to this day, and do it actively. Call them, go knock the doors, call the expired listings 3 times in one day. If they don't answer, leave a voicemail the following day, and then go visit them. If it's a single family home, you obviously can't do it with condos or high rises or anything like that. Go visit them, go knock on the door, leave a note, send them a letter. Do what you can to get in contact with them. All right. Treat those as gold, because expired listings are going to start coming on more and more and more. It's going to be something you want to master. If you have any questions, do me a favor. Feel free. Go down in the comments. Leave me a question. Do a like. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos. Reach out to me about coaching if you want that. We're in the middle of a 12-week year challenge. So hit me up if you want to be a part of the next one, and I'll get you the details on that as well. Just shoot me a message real quick in the comments, and we'll link up that way. All right. I appreciate y'all for watching. This has been a little bit of a longer video, but stay tuned for next week. I'm going to start talking a little bit more about each of the lead sources, starting with expired listings. Thanks so much for watching.